Imagine this for a second. You wake up in the morning, you feel fine, you drink your coffee, maybe you even take a short walk around the block, and you think your health is holding steady. But then, out of nowhere, the doctor tells you your cholesterol is sky high. Wouldn't that feel like being hit by a truck you never saw coming? That's the sneaky thing about high cholesterol. It doesn't make noise, doesn't wave a red flag, and yet it quietly damages your arteries day after day. And here's the scary part. By the time many people discover it, it has already been building up for years. So let me ask you, do you really know the signs your body may already be giving you about high cholesterol? Today, we're going to talk about 5 of those signs. Not in the way you've seen 100 times on pamphlets in the doctor's office, but in a way that makes sense to you, to me, and to everyone who's past 50 and wants to stay vibrant and independent. Because let's be honest, after 50, health isn't just about living longer. It's about living better, with energy, clarity, and the ability to do the things we love. And here's the good news. When you understand the subtle signals your body gives, you can take action before it's too late. The first sign I want to talk about might surprise you. Unusual fatigue. Now, I know what you're thinking. Fatigue could be caused by 100 different things. Lack of sleep, stress, even dehydration. But here's the deeper truth. When cholesterol builds up in your arteries, it literally makes it harder for oxygen-rich blood to travel through your body. That means your muscles, your heart, even your brain aren't getting the oxygen and nutrients they need. And what happens then? You feel sluggish. You feel drained. You feel like even the smallest tasks, walking up a flight of stairs, carrying groceries, leave you wiped out. I've talked to many people in their 50s and 60s who thought fatigue was just part of aging. But often, it's a whisper from the body saying, hey, something's not right with your circulation. And here's my personal take. When you feel tired for no clear reason, don't just brush it off. Ask yourself, could it be that my heart is working overtime because my arteries are clogged? Could it be that high cholesterol is slowing me down before I even notice? If you've been there, drop a comment below, because your story could help someone else wake up to this hidden danger. The second sign is something most people don't connect with cholesterol. Yellowish patches on the skin, especially around the eyes. Doctors call these xanthelasma, but let's skip the medical jargon and keep it simple. They're fatty deposits under the skin caused by high levels of cholesterol in your blood. Imagine your body struggling to deal with excess cholesterol. It has to put it somewhere. And sometimes it shows up on your face, right where you least expect it. Now, I remember meeting a gentleman at a community health fair. He thought those little yellow spots near his eyes were just a cosmetic issue. He was embarrassed by them, yes, but he had no idea they were linked to his heart health. When he finally checked his cholesterol, it was through the roof. That was his wake-up call. And you know what? He changed his diet, got more active, and turned things around before a heart attack could catch him off guard. I bring this up because many of us ignore these little signals our body gives. We cover them with makeup, we dismiss them as aging, but sometimes they're the loudest warning signs. If you've noticed anything like this, take it seriously. It's not about vanity. Now the third sign is chest discomfort. Not necessarily the kind of crushing pain we associate with heart attacks, but a nagging tightness, a pressure that comes and goes, especially when you're exerting yourself. This is your heart saying, I'm not getting enough blood, I'm not getting enough oxygen. High cholesterol narrows the arteries, and your heart is left struggling. It doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just sighs, and that sigh comes as discomfort, heaviness, or even indigestion-like feelings. Here's something I've noticed in conversations with people over 50. Many of us downplay chest symptoms. We say, oh, it's just acid reflux, or maybe it's the weather. But I'll tell you, ignoring these signs can be deadly. My advice? If you've ever felt unexplained chest pressure, don't gamble with your life. Get checked. And here's where the personal part comes in. My uncle was one of those tough guys who didn't like to see doctors. He had mild chest tightness for months and kept brushing it off. By the time he finally got tested, his cholesterol had narrowed his arteries so much that he needed a stent. He was lucky he survived. But his story is a lesson to every one of us. Listen to your body before it's too late. Let's move on to the fourth sign, and this one is especially tricky. Tingling or numbness in the hands and feet. What does that have to do with cholesterol? A lot. When arteries in the limbs are clogged, circulation weakens, and the nerves don't get the nourishment they need. The result? That pins on needles feeling, or even coldness in your extremities. I'll admit, when I first learned about this connection, it blew my mind. We often think of cholesterol as only a heart problem, but in reality, it's a circulation problem that affects the entire body. Your hands, these can all tell you when blood flow is compromised. I want to pause here and speak directly to you. If you've had that strange numbness and thought it was just because you sat too long or slept in a weird position, pay attention. If it happens often, it could be cholesterol cutting off the lifeline your body depends on. And trust me, catching it early is much easier than living with the consequences of advanced artery disease. The fifth sign is one that hides in plain sight. Memory lapses and brain fog. Yes, your brain is deeply connected to your cholesterol levels. Why? Because your brain depends on steady blood flow and oxygen. When cholesterol clogs the vessels leading to your brain, your thinking slows, your recall weakens, and concentration feels like walking through molasses. Now, everyone forgets things once in a while, especially as we age. But when it feels like your mental sharpness is slipping more than it should, that could be your brain begging for better circulation. I know this one hits hard, because nobody wants to face cognitive decline. But here's the hopeful part. By managing cholesterol, you're not just protecting your heart, you're protecting your mind, your independence, your very identity. And that, to me, is the most powerful reason to pay attention to these signs. So let's step back for a moment. Fatigue, yellow skin patches, chest discomfort, numbness in the limbs, and memory issues 5 signs that your cholesterol may already be too high. But here's the question, what do you do about it? This is where science meets common sense. The truth is, we have more control over cholesterol than most of us realize. Diet plays a massive role adding fiber-rich foods like oats, beans, and vegetables, reducing saturated fats from processed meats. And using healthy fats like olive oil instead of butter can make a real difference. Movement is medicine, too. Just 30 minutes of brisk walking, 5 days a week, can lower LDL cholesterol and raise the good kind, HDL. And let's not forget stress. Chronic stress raises inflammation and damages your arteries. So practices like meditation, prayer, deep breathing, or simply spending time in nature aren't luxuries. They're necessities for your health, and yes, sometimes medication is part of the plan, and there's no shame in that. Statins and other treatments have saved countless lives. But what I want you to take away is this. You're not powerless. You're not at the mercy of cholesterol. Every meal, every step, every choice is a chance to protect your heart and your future. If you're watching this and you recognize one of these signs in yourself, don't stay silent. Share your experience in the comments. Someone else might be going through the same thing and need to know they're not alone. And if you find this helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because I'll be sharing more insights that can keep you informed, motivated, and strong. Now, I promised you a twist at the end. Here it is. Cholesterol is not the enemy. Shocking, right? Cholesterol is actually essential for your body. It helps build cells, produce hormones, even support your brain. The real enemy is imbalance. Too much of the bad, not enough of the good, and too much of it sticking in the wrong places. That's why awareness is so important. Once you recognize the signs and take action, you can restore that balance. And that means not just adding years to your life, but adding life to your years. So let me leave you with this. Your body is smarter than you think. It sends signals. It whispers warnings. It asks for help. All you need to do is listen. And when you do, you don't just protect yourself from heart attacks and strokes. You give yourself the gift of energy, clarity, and confidence, no matter your age. Isn't that worth it?